remember hearing Dan Wortman-Oven, who was at NetApp Network Appliance years ago, and they were the incumbent coming behind IBM, coming behind EMC. And he said they basically put together this chart by all the different industries and kind of who's strong and who's not, and what's not penetrated. And they found out that oil and gas was one that, for whatever reason, EMC and IBM had not really penetrated early on. So they went after that. They got a lot of great big household names, and then they were able to leverage that success then across some of the other verticals, which is interesting. So with thinking about a startup sales org, how do you qualify? You talked about before, product market fit, but as you're going in to look at a company, kind of how do you figure that out, right? Because you can talk about sales and marketing and partners, alliances, everything else, but if you don't have that product market fit, you don't have to worry about the other dominoes, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think the easiest one for us from a product market fit is, do you have multiple sites? Where are you at on your journey to cloud? Do you have multiple types of storage or tiers of storage? And so if you have, and are you trying to share, do you have a workflow that you're trying to share across multiple sites? If they answer two of those questions, that's potentially a very good fit for Hammerspace.
Gotcha. And then on the other side of that, how did you evaluate, if you could say, as you look at different companies and use Hammerspace or any of them as an example to say, okay, do they have product market fit or not? Because you mentioned you had a couple that did not. So in hindsight, could you have done something different or better there? And did you do that then as you're looking at, say, a Hammerspace?
I apologize. So
the companies, as you're looking to go work for a company, evaluating their product market fit or not.
Yeah, no, that's as when you're looking, I've been working a lot in the A and seed rounds, and you really have to kind of get to, kind of meet with the founders, try to understand, kind of where they see the product today, and can they clearly explain, what the value the product provides to a customer. And then, one thing I've learned along the way too is you really have to talk to some of their end users and understand how the end user sees the value of the product. So it's sometimes, you learn the hard way. That was another kind of life lesson that I've learned.
Yeah, definitely. And then certainly keys to starting up a sales org is actually picking the right sales folks in the profile. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of times, you have to find someone that worked with a startup in the past, and I would call that kind of a builder mentality. And then as I was looking at go to market, do they have that specific go to market? Do they have that experience in media and entertainment? And then so they have network, they have builder mentality. Can they sell a vision? In a lot of cases, the product is not complete at this stage. And so they have to be able to go into a customer and sell kind of the vision of where the product will be over the next 6 to 12 months.
That's great. And then do you have any kind of recipe for kind of a fast start plan? Because obviously you want to know early, cut your losses if somebody's not going to perform.
Yeah, I mean, 6 to 12 months, you start to understand that. I think as long as we have a good product market fit, you start to see that 6 to 12 months. Can the person sell the vision? Can the person adapt? And, can they build a good pipeline? And we have a kind of a pipeline formula today that we use when someone hits their 12-month stage.
And then how important is partners and alliances?
Yeah, I mean, I look at, kind of this horizontal kind of sales motion where you have your Hammerspace, sales teams, they come in with their network, but that network only goes so far. So, and then you have to work with marketing on developing, kind of content enablement and lead generation. And then really partners and technology are how we're going to scale. And I mean, I've been really impressed with what we've done here from a partner standpoint. And we're less than a year into most of our sales team started in December, January timeframe, and we've already have 50 partners signed and trained. And we're talking some of the large, billion-dollar partners that are involved as well. So very important process there.
And with those partners to get them going, how important is it, for lack of better words, sales calls drives everything, to do, joint sales calls with them as opposed to just kind of Zoom or whiteboard training?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've taken this vertical approach, even from a marketing and partner standpoint. So we're telling partners, hey, in the media and entertainment space, here are the 3 categories where we fit. If you have customers, that fit this profile, we should go talk to the customer together. Obviously, sell alongside of them, as well as from a POC and customer success standpoint as well.
Kind of like over the years, you have for the sellers, green zone, red zone. I guess it would be green, yellow, red zone, right? And you want to say, hey, just focus in this green zone, and everybody might get, oh my gosh, they're looking at all this, storage and huge deal. But if it's in the yellow or red zone, don't waste your time. Just kind of focus here in that green zone, which is a sweet spot, which is the product market fit, right?
Absolutely. Yep, I agreed.
And then what about how important is marketing?
Yeah, so I mean, marketing. Molly came on board, and I guess she's coming up. She's at 8 or 9 months, and she developed kind of some messaging, kind of go-to-market messaging, and now we're actually shifting to in content, and now we're shifting to lead generation. Our goal is to have all this in place as we move into 2023, so we can really start to scale and have a lot of processes in place.
Gotcha. So as a new sales leader in an up and coming, I'll say sales org, you mentioned some of the good things of marketing, but kind of what have you seen in your past that would be the kind of, I'll say, the bad stuff or the stupid stuff, or kind of where money gets wasted?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, if you don't have a clear message, on what we do, what the product does and how we're helping customers. I've seen sometimes is maybe too technically focused, especially at an early stage where you're just, a lot of founders kind of like to tout the technology.
Oh yeah.
Versus the problems.
The customers,
right.
The customers are stupid, right?
Right. Exactly. So I'll stop there.
Yeah. And it's important as well. In these examples, we don't need to focus on Hammerspace. Easier you can say generically, from the past, but a lot of times I'll see some CEOs that are those technical founders, super smart, and then the numbers that they set with the board aren't happening. Then the CRO gets thrown under the bus, as opposed to the board properly understanding product market fit and where they're at and what's going on. And it might be, it's always easy to say, oh, it's the fault of sales, but more times than not, in some of those situations, it's product market fit, and it's kind of an engineering product issue, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Ed Walsh kind of told me that a long time ago, almost, 18 years ago. He said, it's usually not sales. It usually has something to do with the product. It doesn't work, or there's not a market fit. So I've been fortunate enough not have to deal with that too often, so which is good.
There you go. That's pretty good coming from a guy that spent a lot of time at IBM. That's why he did so well. And he's also on our a few times, so he's on the advisory board as well, doing a great job. So I think the pillars were sales, partnering, technology, marketing. Was there anything else?
Yeah, just from an ecosystem. So you think about technology partners as a startup. The fastest way to scale is obviously partners. Second fastest way to scale is with technology partners. So as I mentioned, we have some, you kind of work with the cloud providers. So or storage manufacturers or application providers. And I think as you start to evolve as a startup, if you can hitch your wagon to one or a couple of them, I think they can really help you accelerate sales. And then you also have the ability to access their partner network. And that's really, I think, where we're headed with Hammerspace right now. We've done a great job of building the ecosystem. And again, we're kind of setting things up for 2023.
Oh, and how do you pick where you spend your time?
Yeah, it's, I'm always, you're always fighting fires. I think at a high level, I'm always looking at, where the deals for the quarter are. We have a top 10 deal list that I tend to focus on. Most of them are the bigger deals for the quarter. I keep an eye on, obviously, for next quarter and where we are for the year. And then a lot of it's with the sales folks, enablement, and then really how do I drive partners and technology we don't really have someone that's dedicated to building the technology partners. So it's a combination of Tony and I focused on that. So I just try, but at the end of the day, I try to keep my eye on the current quarter.
There you go. Which is, I think, it's not rocket science, but I think you're a great example of some of the top, sales leaders, which is, okay, you got to be in the weeds. You got to be learning by example. If you're in the weeds, then you're able to see and hear what's going on. You're not, presiding, managing up, you're, driving, and you're working for your sales team as opposed to your team working for you.
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
And then what about the importance of, I'll say, sales comp design in terms of making sure that you're, obviously compensation drives behavior, and sometimes you've probably seen in the past where it's done well or it's done poorly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have the proper discussion with the founders and the CFO. People are taking a risk coming to a startup. They should, and if they come here and are successful, they should be compensated, because this is, we're in customer acquisition mode. And if they can go out and get X number of customers, they deserve to be compensated well. So obviously, accelerations are huge. And, also I think you got to have a bridge, when someone starts. So those are kind of the couple key areas I focus on.
Great. We have a question from Tim Honan. So as a reminder, anybody watching along, watching or listening, feel free to post any comments or any questions. You can see us. We can't see you, so feel free. So from Tim, we have, being in the early years, are you strictly looking for sales members with an established network in the media space? Are there entry roles at Hammerspace for early college grads with only early success selling in the tech space?
Yeah, unfortunately, in a startup world, every hire is critical. And if you look at our kind of sales organization at Hammerspace, most people have probably been in the industry for 20 years. I would suggest you probably look at bigger organizations to learn. Here we're hiring people that essentially are hired guns, that we need to come in and be immediately successful and bring a network of business with them.
What about do you have an SDR group?
We do have an SDR group. Absolutely, good point, Randy. So we do. We are building out the SDR group right now. We currently outsource that, but we're starting to build an internal organization as we head into the fall. So Tim, you should shoot me a LinkedIn, and I'd love to connect with you and kind of help you.
Yeah, especially it sounds like he has some early sales success, so that could be of interest for sure. So
thanks, right, Ray. He'll end up being our best SDR over time.
There you go.
I'm going to have to thank you.
It all started here.
Right. It all started here. Exactly.
All right. So hopefully he's already sent you the note. We'll
right.
See. All right. So Tim, report back before we're done with this, saying that you've already sent him the note, please. Not to put you on the spot totally, but so what about kind of going from the kind of smaller companies with some of these acquisitions must have been interesting. So like Avira to Microsoft, how was that?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's just a completely different. You're involved in a lot of different conversations about product and market direction, and then you're from a sales perspective, and then you get into Microsoft, and it was just a very large organization for me. And I think if you look at I've spent 20 years probably mostly startups. I didn't last there very long, but it's a great company and a lot of great people there. And a lot of the folks from Avira are actually still at Microsoft and have very important roles.
Oh, and then store-wise to IBM, I think you barely stayed at IBM for a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah, right. It was a cup of coffee. So, it wasn't there long. I immediately saw, the opportunity at Avira. So I jumped over there.
Wow, that's great. Any things, I guess, with your time at Microsoft, any positives that you took away that you're kind of using now in your kind of tool chest?
No, yeah. Absolutely. I learned, from, working with the cloud provider and their perspective, understanding their partner network and how they approach that, building the ecosystem, being very partner friendly. Absolutely. I think that was, something I learned there.